Hi guys, Drews here. I am here to film a new video for you guys today. Today I am home by myself today. My brother's with me downstairs, but I wanted to film a couple videos. I have a stack over here for coming up video that I'm planning on making. Give you guys a little tease. And then I have a stack of books right here. This is my top 10 books I want to read by the end of the year video. I said 10 like that because there are not really 10 books on this stack, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's just get started with that intro. These are the books that I want to read by the end of the year. The first two books I'm going to show at the same time because they're both by the same authors, but they're both sequels from his different series. And the first one is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is a sequel and follow-up novel to Mistborn: The Final Empire, which I read back in August, and I really loved it. I don't want to be away from the world too long because I feel like if I do, I would miss out on what happened in the first book, even though I read the first book early this year. I gave the first book a 4 stars. I'm really excited to read this one. It's a little bit bigger than book 1, so I don't know how long this would take me to read. I might save this for next month or for December just to see how long it will take me to read. So this is a sneak peek into my November and December TBR. I am real excited to read this, and I got this book over the summertime this year. So I'm hoping I will read this sometimes in the next 2 months, which is crazy that there's already only 2 months left in 2020. The next book I have is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This book I got for Christmas last year. My Aunt Michelle got me this for Christmas, so thank you so much. I mentioned this in my December book haul when I made that earlier last year, and I still haven't read this book yet, and this is one of my most anticipated read of 2019. This came out in 2019. It came out in November of last year, and it's almost November of this year, so I was like, what the heck, might as well try to get to this one. I'm not going to say summaries for my sequels because these are sequels in 2 very different series. And also there's a couple, I think the sequels, 2, 3, 4. The last final books on my stacks are sequels, so it's going to be hard for me to talk about sequels because I don't want to spoil you guys. But just know this leaves off right where we left off in Skyward. And like I keep saying whenever I mention this book, I love the first book, so I'm really looking forward to reading book 2 soon. The next books are by the same author, and the reason why I chose this as my next 2 books is because I want to reread book 1 and then finally restart book 2, and you'll see that in a minute. And that is the Vicious series by V.E. Schwab. This is Vicious, which has a pretty new cover, and then Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which I bought the day it came out, and I still haven't read it yet. I've been wanting to reread Vicious since I read it last year or in 2018. I can't remember when exactly. I just know I fell in love with Vicious. I think I gave it like a 4 stars. And so I'm curious to see if this would still be one of my favorite V.E. Schwab books. I also, since I'm mentioning V.E. Schwab, I do want to read The Invisible Life of Addy Larue by V.E. Schwab this year as well. There's like so many new releases that came out this fall. And I'm just like, it could just be a whole entire video of me just reading fall new releases. As I said before, this is going to be a reread for me, and then hopefully if I reread this one, it would give me motivation to finally read this. I did started this book. I got 200 pages into it before I put it down for some odd reason, so I'm real excited. Hopefully I will pick this series up and read this duology in November, because November has a theme to it, and I won't say what, but just stay tuned for my November TBR because it's pretty ambitious already. The next book that I want to read is one I mentioned on my channel a lot already, and that is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is the first book in the Nevernight trilogy. I hear mixed reviews about this one. This is about our main character name. What's your name? Mia Cordaria. She goes to the school for assassins. Assassin's Nuns School, I think it was, and there's a cat in here. There's also some very graphic scenes, bloody, violent, some people said there's some sex stuff in here, which I don't know what that means, but I don't know if I want to read this one now that I heard that this is a bit more actual, like, adult work than I anticipated. But I will try and read this one sometimes in the next 2 months. So that's all I know about Nevernight, and it's very popular on BookTube, so there's that. The next book is also very popular on BookTube. I feel like the hype for this one kind of died down ever since it came out during the pandemic, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is a prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I did started this one when I first got it. I got, let's see how far I got. I got 135 pages into this, and I just put it down. I think it's because I didn't enjoy the narrator for the audiobook. So I might try and physically read this one by the end of the year and hopefully read it, because I want to try and read this one by the end of the year. If you guys don't know what the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is about, it follows President Snow, but when he was a kid and when he's going through the Hunger Games. It follows his 10th annual Hunger Games when he is going through the game. So basically it's a villain backstory is what I was trying to say. But yeah, this is a new popular release that came out this year that I also want to try and get to. Another new release that I want to try and get to, and I think we're going to get to it next month. My friend Taylor said after we finish one book by this author, we're going to read this book next, and that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Last Hour series. We are currently reading Ghost of the Shadow Market right now, and I'm really loving it. I love being back in the Shadowhunter world. So if we finish that one this week, we will definitely pick up this one next. I'm so excited to finally be picking this up. As you guys know, I don't think I made a March book haul, but if I did, then it would have been in my March book haul. But I got this back in March, and I still haven't read it yet, so that's why I put this on my list. The next book I still haven't read, and I got this the same month I got Chain of Golden, and that is Crescent City by Sarah J Maas, or House of Earth and Blood. I don't know which title it goes off of. Does it go off Crescent City, or does it go off House of Earth and Blood? I definitely will be reading this one next month. This is the currently reading book club that Allie from Mrs. Dunn reads. She has her own book club, and this is a book club pick for November, so I'm real excited. I meant to read this in October, but I never got around to it. I was going to read this because my friend Lori, she said this was a 6-star read, and that means it was one of her favorite books of 2020. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this one because I read one of her other favorite books and I really loved that one. Spoiler alert for my October wrap up. So this one I was supposed to read this month, but I just never got around to it. So hopefully in November I will get to this one. I'm not going to say much about this one either because this is very popular. It's Sarah J Maas. It's her adult novel, and I'm just ecstatic to get to it finally. And then the next couple of books I have, these next two are library books, so I know for sure I will get to these. And the first one out of the two is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. I was supposed to buddy read this with my friend Libby, who has a YouTube channel. So the next book that I have is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is a sequel to The City of Brass, which I read back in August, and I really enjoy it. This is the follow-up novel, and this cover is just gorgeous. My camera won't do it justice, but I am real excited to read this. I was supposed to buddy read this with my friend Libby, who has a booktube channel here, which I will leave down below. I was supposed to buddy read this with her in September, but I just told her I couldn't get to it in time, so I'm hoping to read it in November or December. And then the next book is a library book that I know I will be reading for sure, because I'm reading this in November, so this is just like a sneak peek to my November TBR overall, and that is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. The next book is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. This is the third installment in the Ember Quartet, and the fourth and final book is coming out in December, so I'm be reading this for my Ember Buddy read along that I am hosting on Instagram, and we're going to be reading the third installment in November, and I'm really excited to jump on to this next book. The second to last book I have for this video today is The Tower of Nero by Rick Ryan, and this is the 5th installment in the Apollo series, and this is the final book in the series. And that's right, it's a signed copy. I'm real excited to read this. It's also smaller than I anticipated, but I'm really excited and nervous to see how this series will end. And then the next book that I have is a 5th installment in the Miss Peregrine's Home Peculiar Children series. I have The Conference of the Birds by Ransom. This is the 5th installment. It's smaller than I anticipated as well, but this feels like a perfect book for October, but I won't read it in time, but I still want to try and get to this. Maybe in December I'll save this one. But yeah, those were all the 10 books that I want to get to in the next 2 months of 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and leave a comment down below which books of these have you read, have you not read any of these, would you like to buddy read any of these, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later down